सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
You're listening to Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorties on the Bhakti Recovery Podcast with Jiva G, coming at you every Monday with a little spiritual something. Well, good morning and merry to you. Happy to you. Today's Christmas. Well, at least for the Americans it is. For many Northern Europeans, it's celebrated on the 24th, Christmas Eve. So we have it kind of behind us, and I just wanted to talk about actually a lot of things, and we'll talk about the manifestation of what I wanted to talk about, and that's food. And my unhealthy relationship to food, and how in some ways the seat changing on the Titanic manifests itself in food. I am neither obese, or I think that I am extremely overweight. But I struggle, and it's another sense gratification. You know, some people could just really easily just say, okay, I'm just going to eat until, and I'm going to eat until I'm full, and then I'll stop. That's what just people who are regulated in that area do. And I used to be that way because I drank a lot. I did a lot of drugs. I smoked a lot of cigarettes. And, I would take 3 or 4 bites of food and I would be fine. And I'd be, oh, that's fine, and I wouldn't even know I was hungry. And that has changed very much throughout the years. And I never had a weight problem or a health problem in that sense. So it was always kind of a non-issue. However, in the last, I would say 6 years or so, food had become, well, not really 6 years, probably about 4 years, has become an issue. And I would love to say, all I got to do is just make it a non-issue, but it's like you can't unpickle a pickle. Unfortunately, you can't unpickle a pickle. I've tried that with everything else. With certain things, regulated things aren't working for me. So Christmas dinner, Christmas food, Christmas cookies, Christmas this and Christmas that, and I'll just have a little this and have a little of that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The last 3 days I've gone to bed feeling like I'm going to vomit because of the sugar that my body does not process well, the flour that it doesn't process well. There's this thing called bright line eating. I forgot her name. She's pretty amazing. She was in the program, an NA, and she's a clean addict, and she's also a food addict. I think she was a bulimic and anorectic, something. I think so. I'm not that sure. But then she got clean and sober, and then started doing research about food because she had an unhealthy relationship to food. Perhaps she had an eating disorder. I have disordered eating, which is different. I do not have an eating disorder in it as such, a clinical one as such as, bulimia or anorexia. I don't have any of that stuff. I just do things against my own will, so to speak. Like I eat when I know I shouldn't be eating it. So let me just talk a little bit about this. This this food plan, this bright line eating. I think about a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago, I was practicing that, and it's generally just no sugar and no flour for the rest of your life, one day at a time. And I have to tell you, I have two things. I have Lyme's disease since I'm a teenager, and I have fibromyalgia since I had menopause. And I think that that's just menopause. I think fibromyalgia comes from menopause, but it doesn't matter. I have both of these conditions, which have caused me literally so much pain physically that it has affected my emotional sobriety and my emotional, stability in a lot of ways. Because if you're constantly in pain and constantly not being able to, I had to stop work and all kinds of stuff because of it, and which was a blessing because I didn't want to work anyway. But the pain caused me to stop torturing myself. So basically, the bright line eating has taught me that she explained it this way. There's a pile of heroin, a pile of cocaine, a pile of sugar, and a pile of flour. The process to get it to that, where it's sitting there in a pile, is the exact same thing. It's a process. It's processed food. It's processed from its natural form and processed into this concentrated crystal form. And the body cannot process it because it's a shock at once. So what that does is over exacerbates your dopamine levels, that dopamine hit. And so I know that when that happens to me, when I'm on a sugar binge or when I'm on a bread binge, because I love sugar and bread. I mean, that's like just something I love. Bread is like one of my favorite things to eat. And sugar is not a huge issue as a sweetie, but things like bread that turns into sugar and all those things that turn into sugar is more of an issue for me, and fried things. And even those I can't stomach anymore. So anyway, my point is this. My body cannot process the shock of dopamine that it's been given. My adrenal glands are drained. They've been drained for a very long time. And these are the subtle things. Maybe, some people don't care about it, and that's fine. Some people think, well, whatever. I'm clean from heroin. I'm clean from cocaine. I don't give a crap about sugar and whatever. But I do, and I really do. And I'm struggling with it. I mean, what I've noticed is that there's really nothing when it comes to addiction for myself as a recovering addict. There's not much I can regulate. There's really not much that's like I can do a little of. Once my body gets that dopamine hit, once my body gets that, oh, okay, this brings me some sort of joy physically, mentally, emotionally, I'm hooked. That's the nature of my disease. That's the nature of this body that I've been given to burn off the karma it's the vehicle that I've chosen to burn off whatever it is I need to burn off in this life. And that's it. So what I've learned is if I try to regulate substances that I use, whether it's intentional or not intentional, that I use to give me that fix, when I use those substances, there's no end. It opens a bottomless pit, that God-sized hole, and there is no stopping. There's not an off button. There is just not an off button for me. And then the struggle starts. And I really don't want to lead my life that way. So what's the solution? The solution is pretty clear. The solution is this. First, I need to be aware. The nature of my disease, if I'm not fully aware of the nature of my disease, then I will stumble like Mr. Magoo from one fix to the next in this life. And I will probably be reborn into the next life doing the same thing until I feel like figure it out and realize, that the only answer to all of that is detachment from my sense gratification. And this doesn't mean to live some austere life in the middle of a cave somewhere. This means that I'm willing to enjoy things through Krishna first, God first, then me. I think that's the solution for myself. That's the answer. Now, how do I do that? I know for a fact that a 12-step program works for myself. This is truly just me, I'm not telling anyone that that's the only solution. Everyone has found their own way through things like that. I personally have not found anything else, and believe me, I looked, that works like a 12-step program. Especially when it comes to life-saving, like genuine ass on fire, gonna die situations. And I think that's why it's taking a real long time for me with, the food issue or the other smaller quote unquote issues. Not until I got to Krishna consciousness was I able to, like I said before, realize and sort of take a fine comb and sort of comb through that. It was always enough for me just to be clean and, to deal with my addict stuff. And, that qualified only as drugs and alcohol for me. And then came the codependent thing. And then I learned my lessons there. And then, then the journey went on with the adult child, going back and back, further and further back. And those things have been combed through. And they are now being shown through a Krishna conscious lens with myself as well. So, the next steps are always, finer and finer and finer. It's like, I don't want to be a half-broken toy in the land of half-broken toys. I accept it. It's fine. I'm actually not. I don't want to say that I don't want to be what I am. I'm actually very grateful for all of it because that's why I'm here. And if I don't address them, then I'm not living what I should be living, and I'm not doing what I should be doing while I'm here. So, yes, I think my life's work for me personally is to get over these hurdles. Sometimes it's very confusing. And sometimes I think, when am I going to be able to enjoy? When am I going to be able to enjoy life? When am I going to be able to be regulated and enjoy things, like the the spiritual cornucopia. And it doesn't work for me like that. Maybe it does for others. I don't know. But these are the things, these are the hurdles I go through, and these are the things that actually keep me on my toes. I enjoy knowing that with every realization that I have, and with every bit of work that I do, that perhaps with the mercy I can come closer to Krishna and inspire maybe others around me to do the same. And I think we all can do that, but we all just kind of do the best that we can. People are watching, people are watching. And I'm not talking about, be on your best behavior. No, be honest, be brutally honest. Be grateful. Be vigilant. And even in the times of like turtling up, because I have times of turtling up where I'm just like, this is too much. What shit did I do in my past life that I gotta be turtled up in this life? But whatever that is, I still look at it in the end or in the big picture as eternally grateful to have that opportunity at all. So, I don't want to say that it's hopeless. I'm just going to be always, struggling and doing this. I'm a work in progress, and I will always be a work in progress. And no, I actually can't rest on my laurels. I leave that for the dubious luxury of others. I really can't rest on my laurels. I see what happens when I rest on my laurels. I usually wind up turtled up. So that's kind of the deal. So I need to pace myself in this world, pace myself within myself, keep my expectations at a very sustainable level for myself. You know, look up to the higher principles and look at it somewhere in a distant sunset that I'm walking towards. And every day there's a rock turned over where I can look at it and say, okay, you know, and then I can move on. And sometimes I forget those rocks. But believe me, I will continue to run into those rocks every time. If I don't remember them, I will be reminded. So I hope you guys know that no matter what happens on Christmas, without Christmas, everyday life, it's all for us and not to us. That's the one thing I wanted to share. So while I'm grappling with the food issue. I'm grappling with that. While I'm grappling with the food issue, I'm eternally grateful. And, you know, today's a new day. And I didn't eat any sugar today, not yet. And I don't think I'm going to. So, no, actually, I'm not. Today, I'm not going to eat sugar. And I'm not going to eat flour. Today, I will just stay clean from those substances, because for me, they're substances. There's no off button when I start that. And, you know, and then I have a day. So I love you all. I hope someone can get something from this, and give yourself a break. Merry Christmas. Happy Krishna. And see you guys on Thursday. Bye, ball. Thanks for listening. I hope you liked the Monday Shorties. Don't forget to check out our full-length episodes on Thursdays. If you like what you heard, spread the word. Peace out.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.